Oh my God!
Hello,
everybody. We are live, crossing the streams. We got an amazing show for you today. The most amazing of shows. We've got two special guests. We kicked out Bob and Sal. We said, "You guys, you guys go." We got guests.
We are twice as sexy tonight.
Twice as sexy. So this is very exciting. We got Jess, Paul, and Tony Berardo.
Nice.
But first, we're going to do, of course, the theme song. Take it away, Jess.
All right, here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Try and top that, Tony.
I can't. They made a live show of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV's watching dream. Jeff, Ron, Sal, Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
Take it away, Howie.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the stream.
All together, we
cross
the stream.
We cross the
We
stream.
cross the stream.
It's the way.
That's the way we do it.
Here
Here
we cross the stream.
Da, da, da,
Wow. All right. We are
It's better
live
every time.
on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the Fireside chat app. I just invited all 1,000 of my followers on Fireside. If you're on the Fireside chat app, you can come and join us online. Otherwise, comment along. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. We got Lee here with us. Hey, Lee. We got
Hi, Lee.
Tim. Hey, what's up, Tim?
Oh.
Welcome to Crossing the Streams is the ultimate show for your TV binge and movie binge watching experiences.
Extravaganza.
Recommendation. This is our 57th episode. We have now 56, soon to be 57 hours of
Wow.
TV binge watching suggestions just waiting for you on YouTube. Definitely
At this
check
point, you
those
should be
out.
binging our show. Really?
It's a lot of.
Right. You could
Instead
binge
of
our
watching
show.
TV, just watch sloppy reviews of television shows that people have watched.
Right. We have sort of become what we were supposed to be recommending others to do. And now people binge and go down the rabbit hole of our own show.
The master.
It's like this is every week we cover 4 or 5 shows that we think you should be watching. It's a fun conversation. One person takes lead. These are shows that we usually like, but sometimes, and it's usually Ron, it shows that he wants to warn you about and not watching. So sometimes we want to save you time so you know other shows to watch.
I mean, we need some conflict, don't we?
Listen,
That's true.
I live my life
It's an
on
imperfect
conflict.
world. Yeah,
I feel very
it is.
comfortable with conflict.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you got to have a little conflict, a little salt,
All
a
these
little
last
spice,
2
a
years
little
for you,
pepper.
Ron.
Yeah, not the last
Well,
2 years.
Let's give our guests a second. We got Tony Berardo
Nice.
back.
Nice.
So
Yay.
this
Hey,
is-
Tony, look at that.
I think the only person that's been on the show as much as Tony is Jess, but we got them both here today, so they're gonna
Really? Listen. I really want the top spot, like the record of like
My
how many
man.
times. So if I'm in contest with Tony here, you just have to keep inviting me back more.
You guys are like the Alec Baldwin, Steve Martin.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say we need to get the the sport coats with the number 5.
Yeah.
on them.
times.
Oh, yeah. The
Five
SNL.
times.
I love
Tony,
it.
tell everyone about your podcasts and stuff. Like
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. So, and I think I'm actually wearing the exact same outfit as my profile pic.
I do that sometimes.
God damn it. So don't look at that profile pic, but
that. Let's
yeah.
go back. Oh, and the hat. It's like the full ensemble.
But I got
He
the
just shot
white.
this today, right? I mean,
But I got the white wife beater.
Oh
there.
yeah,
It's black.
It's totally
awesome.
different.
Actually, I haven't changed it in 6 months, so it's just turned black because of all the stains.
Yeah.
No, but I got a podcast, the Berardo podcast, on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We talk health, wellness, fun, trending topics, as well as you can check me out on YouTube, where I'll do the occasional review or trailers. I'll do some watch videos. So check that out at youtube.com/Tony Berardo. Super easy. But thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. Hopefully Jess does not take the reins and win this thing.
I don't know. This
Broke down
is
the challenge.
just
This is Jess, Paul.
Hey, thanks, guys. And am I supposed to explain who This Is Just Paul is?
Please.
Tell everyone about your your shows.
And
What
then
you
talk
do.
about the sugar
I'm-
treats on your head.
I'm like the all around like creative. I'm that girl who's in the apartment upstairs jumping on her trampoline and bothering everybody while she makes her fake food. Yeah, I do a little bit of everything. Got the YouTube show. This is Just Paul, talking about myself, as I love to do. I've got a movie coming out, guys. I'm premiering my next feature film at Austin Revolution Film Festival. It's like all that's taking
Nice.
up my brain right now.
Wait, you won an award, didn't you? Or you were not?
I'm nominated. You know, after I saw that post and all the attention it got, I'm like, oh my God, the word nomination looks so small. I should probably do something about that. No, yeah, our film was nominated for 7 awards at the festival. We are going in the middle of February, and we're going to see if we won any of those ones.
Nice.
2 awards for this chick, noms, for
Awesome.
actors. Yeah.
Very
Wow.
cool.
Honestly, it's just an honor to be nominated.
Wait, let's see if I have. No. Oh wait, let's see if I have a sound effect. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
I want a $5 gift card to Subway.
Oh my God. I would,
So there's
I would
that.
take
I
as
won't
at
eat.
least
I
one of
won't
my-
eat at Subway, but you know.
Can I trade one
I'm
of my noms
discovering
for
my
one of your
sound effects
noms?
for it. I don't. This is so anyway. Welcome to everyone who.
It took you 57 episodes to
I know, but
realize it was
I haven't
sound
had
effects.
this board the whole all 57. But anyways, welcome everyone crossing streams. We've got a lot of great shows that we're talking about today. We have a bunch of great shows actually that we talked about last week. Last week we talked about Mixtape, The Sex Lives of College Girls, the Super Bob Einstein movie, and Champs. So if you missed that opportunity to hear Bob talk about boxing yet again, head over to episode 56. This is episode 57, and check those out. And again, there's 56 hours waiting for you. Today, we're going to talk about the Harry Potter. Return to
Oh my
Hogwarts.
God. I hope you don't spoil it for me. I don't know when I'm actually going to watch it, but you know.
Well, it is a
I'll
recap
do my best.
episode of the
Yeah.
series movies. So, but
Well, fine. It's
we
fine.
got a new one, and then we got Zach Stone is going to be famous,
Nice.
and the new Matrix movie, and
Wow.
Tender Bar. And if we have time, we
Wow.
have a surprise one that we'll cover as well. So those are the episodes that we're going to talk. You can chat along. If you've seen any of those, feel free to raise your hand on the Fireside. We do want to take a quick second. Bob Saget died this week, very, very unexpectedly. And a father to many who grew up watching Full House, hilarious comedian. I did see him one time in concert. Actually, it was a virus
With
tour.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was
Opie and Anthony Virus stuff.
very funny dude, but very not Danny Tanner when doing stand-up. But
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about that's the duality of him, right? Is that he was one of the filthiest comedians. If you have not seen his 7-minute telling of the Aristocrats joke
yeah.
from the documentary The Aristocrats, it is disgusting and hysterical.
yeah, he's great. And on my episode of my podcast Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show, I talked to Paul Provenza, who directed and created the Aristocrat movie, and he talks all about Bob Saget. There's actually a great story about, it's sort of an FU story about Chevy Chase, but it has to do, the impetus of the story that is Bob Saget. But yeah, he was, I had a good friend who toured with him a lot. And if you want to tear up, Google Jimmy Kimmel's tribute to
Oh my
him.
God.
It's if you can get through that
It was a mess.
without a tear, then you're not human. But yeah, very unexpected. It's always sad when somebody who's so well liked.
So just throwing it out there, but Paramount owns the rights now to all the Comedy Central roasts. So if you want to watch a Comedy Central roast, you got to pay for the Paramount Plus streaming. However, if you go now on Comedy Central, they actually released the Bob Saget roast. You can watch that now without any subscription.
It's in the top 3 of the Comedy Central roast, no question.
It really
I watched
is.
like a 5-minute best of it today. Comedy Central released on their Facebook feed. It was like a kind of a best of that. It was funny. Those are all.
The Gilbert Gottfried roast of Bob Saget is 5 minutes of pure genius. I think that whole roast is fantastic.
One night.
It's so good.
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried in particular.
What was that?
I don't
What
know.
was
I don't
that?
know what that was.
I was looking at you guys thinking maybe you did another
One of the
sound
sound
effect.
effects.
Yeah, I did. Here, let's see what this sound effect is.
Got it.
That's nice.
Crickets. I
Crickets,
can
that-
bumblebees. I can
Yeah.
put any sound effect on there I want, but I never use it. But I gotta say the Rodecaster Pro board, and Tony helped me convince me to get it. But it is
So good.
it's amazing even without, and I've never even used.
Are they
those.
sponsoring the show? Is it a plug?
They're not. I've just
No.
for any
Need
podcast
to be.
listening.
The
All
fuck?
right, let's jump in. And
Yeah.
let's cover our first show. This
Yeah.
is Harry Potter Return to Hogwarts. If you've seen the movies, this is the Friends version, the Harry Potter version of the Friends reunion. But,
And- Yeah.
so no
So,
spoilers
Just
here.
to provide a little of my Harry Potter background, I did not read page 1 of any of the Harry Potter books.
Okay.
This December, my wife and I went for the second time to Universal in Florida. And the first time we loved the Harry Potter, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, mostly just because we love London. It reminded us of old London, and it was great. We went back this time and we loved it again. We loved all the rides, and we had neither one of us had seen minute 1 of any of the movies. I was resistant for the longest time. I thought that was just, in my words, kiddie nonsense. But what we were struck by this time more than previous times was how many grown adults were all in costume, and just like it was unbelievable. So we said, you know what, we have time around the holidays. Let's just watch them. They're they're on HBO Max now, which we have, and so we started watching them, and the first couple, admittedly, our Ron's cousin, mine and Jeff's good friend Dan, almost ruined them for me because he's like, it's the same shit over and over, and the first 3.5 kind of are, but then the fourth one really turns, and the last 4 obviously are significantly darker and much more, I think, adult movies, and we love them. So long story short, it was great timing that we finished these movies and the anniversary show was out. So I watched the anniversary show and I absolutely majorly enjoyed it. The number one thing, first of all, one of the cool things is they get a lot of the actors together who are together for the first time in years, a decade almost. And they do it in some of these permanent set locations, in the Grand Hall at Hogwarts, in Gringotts, in a lot of the in Hagrid's cottage, in a lot of locations from the movies, and which I thought was really cool setting to have a conversation for these people that haven't seen each other since they were literally filming in the locations. So that I thought was really cool. The other amazing thing was, especially the 3 main characters, they had not seen each other in so long, but they literally grew up together, and in a way, like huddled together for days, weeks, months at a time, growing up together through puberty, through high school. I mean, it was a decade that they spent of their formative years. It was pretty amazing. So you truly see during this how much, you mentioned the Friends reunion, and like the Friends reunion to me was okay. I loved Friends, but it was like, it wasn't the same. These, like, they all were already somewhat established, and or some of them were, and went on to do other things. Like, these are 3 people that their decade of filming together was through their growing up, and they are so important as part of each other's lives, and you can truly see that. You can see the connection that they have, and you don't just see it with the 3 of them. You see it with the rest of the cast as well. That's the other thing that, as they're showing you some of the folks that are no longer with us, like Alan Rickman, and then obvious Richard Harris, who played Dumbledore in the first couple of movies. The caliber, you don't really realize it, but the caliber of actor that were the bit players in the movies, like I didn't even I swear to God, it never dawned on me that Ralph Fiennes was Voldemort. I never realized that. Liam Neeson, or sorry, not Liam Neeson, Sirius Black.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah. I knew that, and I knew Richard Harris and Robbie Coltrane's, been around forever and is fantastic, and all
Emma
these
Thompson
other, Emma Thompson,
Maggie Smith,
Maggie Smith, yeah, absolutely, so good, but I never really realized it was Ray Fiennes, which is amazing. I think he's an incredible actor, obviously. So they talked a lot about also about how these were surrogate parents to these kids as they were growing up, and how important they were, and how the way that they treated them was, they never treated them as some snot-nosed actor. They truly treated them like they were their own children and family, and helped them grow as actors, certainly, but as human beings, which was amazing. So it was really enjoyable because it was so sincere and earnest, and just heartwarming, and sad at times too. They talked, certainly when they talked about missing some, like Alan Rickman, and how there's a couple of things that come out of it. Daniel Radcliffe talks about how Alan Rickman was the only actor in the movies that knew before the first day of shooting how everything was going to play out, because not all the books had been written, obviously. He was the only one that knew what the end story arc would be, which is crazy. That's, if you think about that you just don't know. They talked a lot about the casting of the three kids, how Hermione was instantaneous. Like the second they filmed her, during an audition, they're like, that's her, like, because she's so smart and she's a character. And then Ron, they're like, he is in real life, he is Ron Weasley, like that. He's goofy, he's a joker, that's his personality. And then it was Daniel Radcliffe who they struggled to cast Harry Potter. They could not find Harry Potter. And Chris Columbus, who directed the first couple, he said he was watching, I think it was maybe a Christmas Carol, or maybe Great Expectations, something like that, on TV.
David Copperfield.
That's what it was. Right. And he said that's it. Get me that kid. And his parents didn't want him to be cast because they thought it would be too much and take him away from his studies and all those things. And David Heyman, the producer, had to convince his parents to let him do it. And, obviously it worked out pretty darn well. But it was really enjoyable. It was perfect timing for me because the movies were so fresh for me to cap it all off. And and I'm glad I watched them. Now we're like, shit, now we got to go back to Universal because now we know what everything is.
With that new,
I love how your reaction was, I got to go back to Universal and not, I got to read the books.
I don't.
Nothing wrong with that.
Read. As a rule,
I haven't read the books either, Howard. I got to admit, my entire family has read the books, and my daughter just reread all the books. I loved Harry Potter at Universal. I thought, I'm a real Disney guy, but I got to say the Harry Potter, and I was there when it was just the one side, then there's two sides with the train that went across the bridge. And wow, I mean, it's the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced is that Harry Potter experience.
Well,
It's
like
amazing.
one of the rides this year, that's one of the newer Harry Potter rides, is Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure.
Oh, so
And yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to go on it, but I've watched it on YouTube, the ride, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a cool ride.
Yeah.
But like, I remember saying to my wife, like, I don't know what the hell's Hagrid. Like, I don't know what that is.
That's
So
fun.
yeah, but yeah, so now I want a wand from Ollivanders. Like,
right.
I'm
We have
excited to
one.
go back
We have a wand, and it's fun because there's a lot of magic
in the windows. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the movies, not that we move on, but I remember the best thing that happened about the movies were 1 and 2, I feel, are unwatchable, but are unrewatchable, I should say. Because those are 2 examples of being so afraid to vary from the book for fan backlash. When they started with 3, they started focusing on the threads of making these movies stories and telling this story in the movies,
Right.
not being so worried about missing one spirit in a well with one head or something.
Yeah.
That's right. And so to me, 3 is, and then 4 is amazing, and then they just keep getting better and better and better. From
Really,
CGI gets better too. That helps.
yeah, no question. Yeah, I mean, the technology gets better as it goes along.
Yeah, so 2 things. First off, the dining hall at Hogwarts is actually at Oxford University, Christ College, Trinity College up in London, and
Really?
an opportunity to go to that dining hall. And sure enough, aside from the floating candles, it is the exact
Wow.
dining
I was
hall.
just
So
going to ask about that because you said permanent sets. I'm like, why would they keep them around? And
yeah, it's actually not the real set, but it is what they modeled the set after.
oh, okay.
The dining hall in Oxford. It's obvious as soon as you walk in, you're like, holy shit, this is Harry Potter.
They talk about that. They would have done it with CGI 10 years later, but in the filming of the first film, they had all those candles suspended from the ceiling on fishing wire, and tons of them started catching fire.
They used real candles? Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
The other thing I was just
olden
going to
days
say,
of movie making.
Yeah.
seriously,
We had to use real candles. All right.
So one last thing, Jeff. For my 3 daughters, I have one quote, one thing I do from Harry Potter that my girls tell me, just shut up already. It's been 20 years already. The Sorting Hat, I always say to them, not Slytherin, and they're like, Dad, enough. It's stupid. It's been stupid. It always was stupid.
No, I'll randomly always go Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Not
So,
Slytherin.
Slytherin. All
So
right.
if you like the movies, it's on HBO Max. Check it out. It's really enjoyable.
And I want to say one last thing about the movies to cap this off. I am exactly as old as Dan Radcliffe. Like we're like months apart. And something that is really obvious coming from my point of view is even if you want to say that the first couple are unrewatchable or whatever, they grew up with my generation. Like it started as a kids movie, first couple. Then as the years went on, it literally like they changed genres in order to like grow up with the kids, which I mean, besides it being just, passage of time, technology and everything like that to make it better. And obviously the change of hands of directors. It was at least that's what it looks like to me. And gosh, Harry Potter is so special to me. I've got so much trivia about them. I wonder if they say it in the special, but I definitely need to watch that, pirate it somewhere, because I do not want all of these streaming networks on my bill. So we'll see.
You got to get HBO Max. Just leave it at that.
HBO Max, you can watch it free, usually with commercials, I think.
Really?
Fuck that. It's like $10. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
You know how many
I love
donuts Jess has to sell to make time? All right, let's
5.
let's move
One
on.
donut a month, you're good to go.
Let's move on.
Zach Stone is gonna be famous. That's how the theme song goes. Well, actually, he
I don't
changed
think
it
I
every
can
single
introduce it better than you. Zach Stone is going to be famous with Jess Paul. Let's talk about this show.
All right, so we're like going down the nostalgia path tonight. Harry Potter, Bo Burnham, because I wanted to come at this too. This is actually very like segue. Talk about like growing up with something. So, who's familiar with Bo Burnham? Maybe the Netflix Inside, special, which was the viral hit of some point last year.
That was
Well,
cool.
yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody could relate in some way or another, whether it was because of the pandemic and how we all felt about everything, or if it was generally like how, I don't know, a millennial feels being trapped in this world in general. But anyways, so Zach Stone's going to be famous is this kind of unearthing, revitalizing of one of his first professional projects. So to give a little trivia, because everybody usually comes so prepared for these things, I tried. So Bo Burnham, he started 14 years ago, practically sitting in his bedroom and plucking out really punny, raunchy songs on his keyboard. I think I might be like, this might be gossip, but I think he was even sent up to his room like as punishment, and there he is just like filming like a mid-teenager, just like filming these ridiculous songs like
Didn't he start on Vine? I remember seeing him
no.
on. Yeah,
He was before Vine. He could have been on Vine, but he definitely was on YouTube first. He existed before Vine even was around. But he like with songs like My Whole Family Thinks I'm Gay, which aged a little bit, which is funny because watching Zach Stone, most things are fresh and funny. It's like the gay stuff is the only stuff that's like, huh. Wow, I can't believe how not a joke that is anymore.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But so this show was greenlit by MTV, and they basically gave Bo Burnham, I guess, his run at actually, I was going to say a traditional TV show, but he's still managed to use the object of kind of like the breaking the fourth wall as we do on YouTube all the time, as we do right here. I mean, we're like looking right at the camera and everything. So with this, Zach Stone is going to be famous. Bo Burnham's character, Zach Stone, has hired a camera crew for himself to follow him around his town. Not that he does anything in particular. I guess every single episode, he's trying a new avenue to become famous. He becomes a celeb chef, or he tries. He literally like he is catering one of his parents' book clubs and hands out cups of lettuce. Like he has no idea what he's doing. In fact, he's so incompetent that like through watching the show, and I actually haven't finished it yet. This is my first time watching it, and I am exactly halfway through. Me and my friend Val are still doing like the quarantine TV night where we, get on Discord and watch something on we call it Telepuerte. I don't know what it's actually called, but she once read it as Telepuerte, and now that's just what we call it. But we're watching Zach Stone, and it is fast. It is rapid fire puns and jokes and ridiculousness. Every single episode, he's just offending people and embarrassing himself if he had any shame. And it goes along this arc of like him trying to make his friends cooler than they are, and trying to date a girl that was way out of his league before he started bringing cameras to the coffee shop. And it is super fun and super funny. And again, like I was saying about the fourth walls always breaking, I take that back. There's practically no fourth wall. Like almost with every single other line that they do, they're like kind of like looking at the camera office style to be like, are you hearing this? Are you understanding this? But there's a little bit of an arc about this. He has a friend who's a girl. I mean, this is where like it gets really like traditional plot where this girl friend of his, Amy, I think that's her name. She is now like kind of dating someone else after he kind of like kicked her out of the passenger seat for his, his journey through trying to figure out how to be a famous celebrity, whatever. And if you like Bo Burnham, if you grew up with him and his songs, his words, his ridiculousness, it was basically MTV saying, here you go, Bo, do whatever you want with this. And that's what he did. It only lasted one season. And while I'm watching this, I'm like constantly speculating, like, what was the reason that it didn't really make it? And Oh, I have a couple. Oh, darn it. I'm on the wrong computer. I can just paraphrase because I was going to read some stuff to you. I did a little snooping on the internet. Actually, Valerie did snooping. She like literally sent me links and she found Bo's old Tumblr blog because again, from YouTube, from the internet, that's where we came from. And that's why I obviously like relate to him so much. I've been following his whole career because like, this is my generation. These are my people. Bo is my people. As if I have any closer connection to him. But I found his blog where he was announcing the show was going to practically be debuting and everything. He was very excited, and to kind of paraphrase, he's like, you can even pirate it if you want to. Don't worry about it. Like just try to watch it, please. And then we found the post, a couple pages later where he's announcing the cancellation of the show. And what he explained, he obviously didn't, I don't even know if he knew at the time. I'm sure he probably got some kind of hint. But he didn't say what the reason was, but he was being very grateful. And this is something, again, you might expect from somebody who home grows a career out of their bedroom, that he was grateful to even get, any time on MTV to write it and perform a show and to experience that. It's got Biff from, Back to the Future as his dad. It's got his mom as, someone you've seen on everything that you just can't place her name. And it's a super fun watch. I'm curious, do you guys ever run into this? Because can we all call ourselves comedians? Are we all comedians on here? Is this a show of comedians? No one's
no.
Nothing funny about me.
Yeah, it's just you two that are funny.
No, I honestly, I've only recently been calling myself a comedian, and I'm just convincing myself that I might be able to pull it off. If I just keep talking, then like no one will notice the difference. But yeah, so I was noticing though, like it is really fast paced, and I wasn't. It has to be for that generation. If you're watching TV at the time, that might fit. You're literally catching up with the jokes sometimes, which is comedy that I really love. In fact, when I've been called out on gigs, like like these comedy commercials I've been doing every once in a while, they tell me to slow down whenever I'm performing, and I'm curious if it's like just me or if it's just my generation. Or what, and maybe it doesn't always hit when you're going a little too fast with the jokes. That's the only thing I can think of. Or, I think a lot of people were watching this show back then and definitely now because of the appeal of Bo. They were a Bo fan already, and they were watching it to kind of cheer him on. And I'm the thing is about it though, if you do start watching the show, you'll notice how, like I alluded to before, how unlikable Zach Stone is. He's incredibly selfish. He's, again, really ridiculous and will just kind of try to do anything to get attention. I was just talking about how I just keep talking and hope nobody notices. But yeah, like he'll just constantly be trying to, what else has he done? Oh, he was going to a frat party. So an infamous idea that he had to like, bring the TV crew and make something out of this frat party was to, instead of Girls Gone Wild, he was going to do Bros Gone Wild and just have a bunch of guys take off their shirts. And again, his friend was like, dude, people are going to think you're gay. And he's like, no, what is more masculine than making money off of other dudes, stuff like that. So it's a ride. I enjoy it because I know I'd already enjoy like watching Bo for a while. And if you're coming off of, it was the best idea for Netflix to do this at this time. In fact, they could have done it even sooner, coming off the tail of Inside. Everybody would have been like, I need more Bo. And now we have it.
He's hilarious. The reason I say Vine is because I remember him on YouTube, but I liked his Vines. Like you can YouTube, ironically, his Vines. And they're great because Bo is so good at that quick, like you said, quick humor. Oh, yeah. And the Vines is perfect because in its prime, it was 7 seconds.
It was. I know. I remember that.
He'll do like those skits, and it was like 3 seconds of him, and then he'd turn the camera, and it was a different character, and it was the other 3 seconds. Like he's just so talented.
There's no doubt, Jess, that there is some type of generational thing that's happened that, and I'll just speak for my generation, that the whole quick hit thing, 7 seconds or even less. Like that, it was not true in our generation. Like this is definitely your generation, and even my kids, the Gen Zers. I mean, it's all quick hit things.
The attention.
Our
That's
brains are
what it
just too
is.
fast. I'm sorry, you guys. You know,
It's-
we just need things fed to us a little quicker.
That's one way to say it. Sure.
But it's everybody now. I mean, that it moved into everyone. I mean, now you have commercials that are 6 seconds. You know, like it's everything's gone down to I think it was best said in the lyrics. There's 104 days of summer vacation till school comes along just to end it. So the annual problem for our generation is finding a way just to spend it.
Nice. Well
Aw.
done.
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Well done.
If I make openings,
Is that a Drake lyric?
Yeah, what is it from?
but when you said Zach Stone is going to be famous, it reminded me of something we should talk about one day on the show, which is a YouTube show called Zach Morris's Trash.
Oh yeah, that is
Yes.
funny.
We've talked about this show, haven't we?
Funny
I
and
don't know if we talked about Zach Morris's Trash, but
Funny and
they basically take the episodes and just talk about like what a horrible human being he is. Anyway, I digress. Okay.
Zach Morris, is that Saved by the Bell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Oh, you know what? That's a similar character to Zach Stone, to be quite honest. I bet.
I bet. All right, we're
Zach
gonna
is just a
we're gonna
douche is what we're saying.
we're gonna move it into the Matrix Resurrections with Tony.
Dying to hear what you have to say, Tony.
You may recognize Tony from his picture from 15 years ago.
Yeah. So
Nice.
So let me first off, I'm just going to cut to the chase, keep this short and simple, give you my honest feedback. But I thought it was trash. I was not.
Whoa,
was
coming
not,
in with a hot take.
I got to tell you, because normally I'll like build up reviews and I'll say, well, if you like this type of thing, you'll like this. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm very disappointed for a lot of reasons. And the one thing I will say, though, is as we mentioned, 20 years later, the Matrix in its prime, like Matrix 1, Matrix 3, we can have conversations about that. We know Matrix 1 is just the classic, right? But Matrix 1, if you look at it right now today on HBO Max, it's available. Another reason, Jess, to get HBO Max is but you can watch that and you don't look at it like, you don't look at it like a Jaws movie. You don't look at it and you're like, oh my, like that doesn't even look real. Like, how did you believe that in the 70s? But the Matrix, you can look at that today in 2022 and be like, that holds up. Like the CGI holds up. It was way above its time. You looked at that like it was super futuristic. So the cool thing about the Resurrections is it takes it to a new level, which is rad. What is disappointing though to me is there's so much potential in those characters, specifically in Keanu Reeves, because he's a legit like black belt. Like he knows jiu-jitsu. He does all of his own stunts in John Wick, and he's done some other over the seas like Brazilian movies where he's like a cameo, but he does like legit jiu-jitsu. He's got real skill in fighting. And the entire fucking movie, it's 2 hours and 28 minutes. He does this.
Oh.
That's how he moves things. He doesn't fight anymore.
I mean, he is like 50.
No, but you got CGI. Like, what's
It's like 50.
like? Did you not? I mean, you had the Irishman, and they looked. De Niro looked fucking 20 in that. Like, they can make Keanu fight. And what hurts me so much is that you spend 20 years investing in these characters, and they don't even bring back all the characters. They reinvent this new story. And you can kind of buy it. Like after 30 minutes, the whole Morpheus play, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, Lawrence Fishburne isn't in it. And if you've seen John Wick, he's in that. So you watch Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne in John Wick, and the only thing you could think about is what? I can't wait till they come out with another movie.
Right.
And you get the opportunity, and Lawrence Fishburne doesn't even get a call. It gets rebooted in this weird, funky way to try to make it appeal to the younger generation. And
he didn't get a call? Is that what you said?
He didn't get a call. Like if you look up interviews, he didn't even get a phone call.
Whoa.
Why?
Totally blackballed him. No pun intended. Sorry, Lawrence. But yeah, it was just it wasn't in the script. They wanted to do this whole reboot weird thing with this new Morpheus that's younger.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other characters that are younger, and they look up to Neo, and Neo forgets everything because he gets rebooted in the last one. So it's like this whole like kind of reboot sequel. And then again, spoiler alert, Trinity ends up being the one. And what is more annoying to me about this is I just had my buddy who's an actor, Chris Levine, shout out Chris. He was on my podcast the other day, and I'm like, dude, the feminists like play on this thing. Sorry, Jess, but the feminist play on this was so over the top.
Oh, that's when it gets sour. I understand.
Star Wars, easy, take it easy. You know, like they went so over the top to make Neo like irrelevant, and Trinity was like the shit in this. And if you watch the original Matrix, like Trinity was Sigourney Weaver in the 80s in these movies. She was a badass. And they just kind of like bent over Keanu Reeves as like, it was very disappointing.
That's surprising, but
it was,
kind of interesting.
You say that 20 years later, and are there any, like, you could name on one hand the sequels with such an like decade plus difference that are good. Like they're just not. Like it's just you're so disconnected from them.
Right.
Since we're talking about sequels that we didn't like, let me throw in Ghostbuster Afterlife. I thought was the most irritating movie, and you know, people that were saying that they loved it. This just nostalgia alone does not make something good. As a matter of fact, I thought the most depressing part of the movie was when the three Ghostbusters showed up. Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray just looking way out of prime for their Ghostbuster years.
Yeah.
And,
well, can I just say that that the Vacation reboot with Ed Helms and Christina Applegate was fantastic.
That was actually good.
But that's a reboot.
I warned them
even,
not
not
to do
a
that.
sequel.
Yeah. Was that? Oh, I guess
That's a
not
reboot.
You're right. It
Yeah,
was a reboot.
not a sequel.
Good point.
Yeah,
that's a
reboot
whole
is
different category of unnecessary. I mean,
Agreed.
like, we can't come up with any ideas. Let's just remake something.
Yeah.
And, you know, completely.
Yeah. Tony, were the agents, the original agents from the Matrix in it, or no?
No, that's what's so weird, man. So no one's seen this, right? On this
No,
call?
I'm not going to see it.
So sorry, I just completely destroyed it for you.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's all
But,
good.
yeah, like even the agents, that was like the cool part about the movie. So they have the same agents, but they're rebooted, so they're totally different. It's the same character, like, you know, the guy who said Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, so he's great. So his character is in it, but he's a totally different actor.
Right. He was the original Red Skull.
That's right. So it's just I got to tell you, though, watch it just for the fight scenes, but it's it's disappointing. And then, you know, I didn't find this out. I don't know if you guys know this. Fun fact. So the Wachowski brothers are the ones who did all three movies. And I'm laying into, you know, my buddy who's an actor who knows a few folks that were kind of working on the film. And I'm like telling us about this whole like feminist thing. And he's like, well, you know, it's not the Wachowski brothers anymore.
He's one of them has transitioned, correct?
Right, they transitioned.
They both did.
Really?
Yeah, they both did. Yeah. But
That
only
is
one
so
made this movie.
interesting.
I was like, bro, I wish you would have told me that before I did this whole feminist fucking rant.
Well, yeah,
But-
and there's a lot of you know, a lot of the thematics of even the first few movies, first three movies, not alone this one. If you look at them, is about transgender identity and all those things. So yeah, it's.
And again, I thought that was interesting. Not that it played a role, but it was interesting to look back at it as like, you know, everyone talks about how there's no like strong women and it's gotten worse and all that. And I look at like, I think the 80s, again, I bring up Sigourney Weaver, it's progressively getting better and better. And you don't have to like reinvent movies to give women power. Like you have Captain Marvels of the world. Like there's characters out there that you can create movies based off of. Don't like reboot a movie and then just switch it up, because then I'm such a massive Matrix junkie that I was like, fuck, I can't believe I just watched this.
Tony, how did you feel about the Terminator reboots and the sequels to that?
No, Ironically, the only one I liked was the one with Christian Bale. I thought that was interesting.
No, I like Dark Fate. I thought Dark Fate was great, and I thought Sarah Connor kicked ass. again.
Linda Hamilton, and she was a
great.
badass. And that the original one was 80s, right? So
The OG, yeah. I was referring to like the whole series as a whole, but the last one, Dark Fate, was much better than the other two. I think they did. That was like
Dark Fate was more like a real sequel to the
That's right.
original concept.
I could go without the other.
I don't feel I did enough to tell people how much I don't like the new Ghostbusters movie. It was like, to me, it was like growing up, Ghostbusters was one movie that I don't think you could go a day where you didn't quote some funny line from the Ghostbusters. And I will, and
there's a perfect example. Blues Brothers 2000 was atrocious.
Terrible.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, it whipped out John Belushi. And but like this new Ghostbuster movie isn't a comedy. Like there's two jokes in the movie, and then one of the best jokes from the first movie, they do they call it back in this movie, and it's so horribly awkward. And it's like, and it's to me is the same as, like when they rebooted Superman, right, with Zack Snyder, and with Zack Snyder, and who did they bring in? Zod. Oh, really? You couldn't think of anyone different than the one that was already done? Or like when they rebooted Star Trek, who's Cumberbatch? We're not going to tell you. Oh, it's Khan. It's Khan, because we can't think of one new thing. We're just going to bring back the same exact things. Anyway, I thought Ghostbuster. I'm willing to. I'll take the hill. I will not. And everybody was like, I loved it. I'm like, no, I can't accept that. There's something wrong.
Not a comedy. That would be the biggest offense that somebody could ever do to sequel some of my movies, is like that they were originally a comedy and then just to take all the jokes out. It's like, what did you think you watched? Because Ghostbusters was a comedy like that. It was a spooky comedy. That's sad.
Well, and didn't Dan Aykroyd also like write this one too? Like, because he wrote the originals, but I heard he wrote this last one. And
I don't know. Like, there's a scene where
I didn't know he wrote there.
I don't think he wrote this one. I think he wrote an original version of the Ghostbusters, and Harold Ramis had to pretty much rewrite it. But
interesting.
Jess, if you have Netflix, I highly recommend a show that I reviewed a couple months back called The Movies That Made Us. It's a series, and Ghostbusters is one of those.
I might have been on the episode where you talked about it, because I would always respond, I watched the toys that made us.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's go. Let's do something hopefully positive and talk about The Tender Bar, George Clooney's new classic.
Yeah. So, I will tell you, one of the positives for having COVID is I have consumed a hilarious amount of television over the last 9 days. Seemingly impossible how much television I have consumed. And, right in the middle of all of it was The Tender Bar. It literally just popped up on Amazon Prime. I'd never even heard of it, didn't know who was in it, but it showed up as the lead flag on Amazon Prime. Sure, why not? I'm sitting here on my couch hours at a time. Let's take an hour, 40 minutes and see what the hell The Tender Bar is all about. And for those of you that don't know, this is George Clooney's production company, and George Clooney directed it. And it's starring Ben Affleck and a number of other awesome people who you've never heard of before. But what's interesting about this is that this screenplay was written and greenlighted in 2013 and then shelved by Sony Pictures in 2013. And it wasn't until last year that Clooney's his production company, Blackstone, I think it's called, picked it up and said, Smokehouse Pictures, picked it up and said, hey, this is a good script. It's a good screenplay, and I want to do something with it. So Ben Affleck signed on immediately as soon as George Clooney got hold of it, and bam, we got an amazing movie that's produced. It's a coming of age tale of a kid who his mother is a troubled mother. It's like a 9-year-old kid who wants to be a writer. His father is a raging alcoholic and ends up leaving the family. So this is set up as a really pick-me-upper, positive kind of story. But they go to live with the kid's uncle, who's Ben Affleck, who becomes kind of the tutor and the advocate for this kid. And it's the story of their relationship, this kid and this uncle who owns a bar and helps this kid in his street ways to fulfill his destiny. And it is a wonderful story. And I will tell you, it really snuck up on me, this thing. I wasn't expecting to really spend a lot of time thinking about it after watching it. But sure enough, this thing was a wonderful story and here's the part that really shocked me. I'm just going to say this right out front. You guys feel free to shoot holes in this. I can't stand Ben Affleck as an actor.
I was going to ask, who was your favorite performance of the movie?
I think Ben Affleck is just a bad actor, and I'm sorry. Every one of his roles is exactly the same, monotone, stupid, unbelievable. Like I don't find any of his. I
liked him in The Town, which he directed, by the way.
But this is
almost great.
Every day I come up to that door and I knock on the door and I pray that you're not going to answer the door.
So
get that through your fucking head.
Well, right. It's the same voice and the same style. I'll just say that it's kind of that Boston, New England, New York kind of thing. And yet again, he's right there with it as a bar owner, right? But this is by far my favorite role of Ben Affleck's. I thought he had strangely a good amount of range. I thought he was believable. I thought his relationship with the kid was fantastic. I thought it took a couple of turns that really relied on his skill as an actor to make the scenes work, and I thought he did a beautiful job at it. So it's incredibly well shot. I think Clooney and his team did a great job of building up the sets and the scenes to make this thing possible. The music backdrop. This is one of these movies that really has music as a crutch to its theme and its point, and it interweaves music beautifully through the movie as well. And it's really a wonderful story. I will tell you one other thing that really took me by surprise is Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd plays the alcoholic grandfather of this kid.
From Taxi?
From Taxi. Yeah. You know, this is
slow down.
Yeah, slow down. Right.
What
happened?
do you do?
A yellow light.
Right. He is fantastic as the grandfather in this role.
Wow.
Just absolutely worth the price of admission just to see Christopher Lloyd as the uncaring, disgusting, dirty grandfather. And he plays the role perfectly and amazingly. So it really is. I feel like everything kind of came together in this story, and I highly recommend it. Rotten Tomatoes only gave it 52%, and I really have to tell you that surprised me because it's meta reviews in the 80s. People are loving the story. The people like you and I are watching it and rating it, but the critical review on Rotten Tomatoes is only 52. So you'll have to watch it and tell me what you think about it because I don't see any flaws to this thing. It's slow and it's dark. There's no question it's dark. It's a dark story, but it takes you through the story, and I think it has a pretty strong payoff at the end. So nice job, Ben Affleck. Nice job, George Clooney. You built something pretty cool, and I think Amazon Prime really is the big winner for this because people are jumping on it.
Wow.
Like he's the big winner.
I'm glad you said that because I saw it. It popped up on a banner and I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my wife and she's like, nah, I don't know. And I'm like, it looks really good though. I'm pretty, and I love Affleck. I think if you're not a fan, I get it, but you should watch The Way Back. Have you seen that?
I have not.
He's really good in that. He's not a good actor in a lot of stuff, but I'm glad you did review this because I really want to see it. It looks really interesting. So it was a good review.
Hey, what was Affleck in The Way Back?
He was the main character. He was the coach. The Way Back?
Oh, I'm thinking of. I was thinking the
Wetback. What?
No. The Way Back is with the guy. Hang on.
Matt Damon.
The Way Back is a Ben Affleck movie. What's the one where it's about the guy riding in the back seat of the thing. It takes place.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh,
what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Isn't that
Anyway.
Paul Rudd? Not Paul
No,
Rudd.
that's Steve Carell. But
Steve Carell. That's right.
So I'll just say one last thing about George Clooney and his directorial efforts. And I don't know about you guys, but The Ides of March,
it's also called The Way Back. It's called The Way Back.
The Way back. There you go.
It's with Steve Carell.
The Ides of March, which was also directed by Clooney, is one of my very favorite movies out there. I happen to think that is a brilliantly directed and produced film. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. And so here he is, directing another film that has kind of a similar vibe to The Ides of March, and you'll see that immediately, Tony, if you know The Ides of March. You'll feel that vibe as well. And it's here he is. He's directing another one that is right up there for me. So great job. That man seems to have no end to his talent. And I don't like the fact that he's also good looking. That pisses me off.
He's a deal with the devil kind of guy, no question.
So do you guys? I got one. If we want to, I got one that I want to tell everyone about. Is that cool?
Ghostbusters.
Now this, I don't know if this is right. This is The Eyes of Tammy Faye. I watched this recently. This is on HBO.
Jessica Chastain.
With Jessica Chastain. Let me just.
Who I think is incredible.
Let me just start by saying, when there's few times that I watch something where I'm like, wow, I'm watching the Oscar winner right now, right? It's rare that I feel that way. But Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye Baker was one of the most captivating, greatest performances. I couldn't get over it. I could not get over it. This movie is I don't know if it was released or just made just for Amazon, but it's only like a couple hour movie. The beauty of this movie is it does focus on Tammy Faye Baker. So it's obviously about her relationship with Jim Baker. But there's a lot of those ancillary things. They don't like all of a sudden go into the Jessica Hahn thing. It's literally just a mention. It's all focused and the thread stays on Jessica Hahn. So if you don't know, the Bakers, Jim and Tammy Baker, were huge in the 70s and the 80s. And so this kind of takes us through them meeting. Andrew Garfield plays Jim Baker. And Vincent D'Onofrio plays Jerry Falwell, and Gabriel Olds plays Pat Robinson. So what this movie, it's based on a 2012 documentary of the same name, and Jessica Chastain saw it and then bought the rights for it. Jessica Chastain sings and everything. The only negative I would have for this movie is Jessica Chastain is too pretty to play Tammy Faye Baker, right? And it's a compliment, but to her, but it comes because it's weird because she doesn't look as clowny, for example, as like a Tammy Faye Baker looked with the makeup and all the kind of stuff. Interestingly enough, I was Jess Paul mentioned the trivia. Here's some trivia. A lot of like what you see in the characteristics of Tammy Faye Baker, like on Saturday Night Live, crying and the makeup coming down. There's no pictures that they could find of her literally like that. As a matter of fact, the research showed that she actually used waterproof makeup. So that was just like an invention, kind of like how I can see Russia from my house. Like she never really said that, that kind of thing. So this movie is about them meeting at a church camp and falling in love and getting married and they were both very taken with spreading the word of God and Jesus Christ. And it's interesting because the two of them, Jim Baker and Tammy Faye, like I never watched them, right? But I was very aware of them, during those times, especially during the scandal times, because they were such characters. It's hard to have not known.
What decade was that? 80s, 90s?
It's like the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So what they were basically con artists, right? So they were televangelists, and they got into the game through Pat Robinson and had TV shows on his thing. And then Jim Baker invents the 700 Club, which is the late night version of Christian talk show, right? So he invents that, and then at some point he leaves because he's not really, and Pat Robinson takes over. It was like one of those things where like he kind of got pushed out of his own idea. But then they go start the PTL network, which is the Praise the Lord network, right? And then they acquire a satellite, okay? So with a satellite now, they're going 24 hours with the Word of God. So in an interesting scene later, Jerry Farwell is talking to them. He's like, I reach 3 million people a day. And they're like, we reach 20 million a day. Because with the satellite, they're just reach. So Jim Bakker and Tammy Faye Bakker basically they didn't create the concept, but they created this mass way to get to it. And a lot of it is, they kind of imply that Tammy Faye maybe didn't know as much, kind of like Carmela Soprano, aware but not aware type thing, you know. And it was really Jim Bakker doing most of the stuff. And so, you know, this was one of those things. They grew it to be the largest religious broadcasting empire in the world. Like, it was just huge. And of course, then it starts to fall apart. They, when he did have an affair, Jim Bakker had an affair with Jessica Hahn, and he used pledge money to pay her off. And then she went public. And so then Jerry Falwell and them, they completely turned on the Bakkers to push them out. And so it was really kind of interesting. It covers all of that, but again, it's all still very focused on Tammy Faye and her music and all this. And she was very interesting because the church, Jerry Falwell specifically, was painted as very, very anti-gay, and Tammy Faye Bakker was very, very welcoming of all people, right? And there was a particular scene that they did basically word for word where she talked with this man, Reverend Stephen Peters, who was a man with AIDS, and interviewing and, you know, saying God loves you, and, you know, like real very nice warm stuff. And interestingly, I read some more trivia that they didn't go to tell him because this was like in the 80s. He had AIDS. They assumed he had died. He didn't die. He actually outlived. He's still alive. Tammy Faye passed away about 10 years ago. So he's in the, there's a picture of him in the end credits where they kind of go, where are they now type thing. So it's great for a couple of reasons. One, just it revisits that time frame. I thought it was great the way they really kept the thread on her. They didn't go into too many crazy Jim Bakker subplots. But it was all kind of touched on, but not exactly. I'm sure there's a lot of details that, you know, they didn't cover in the amount of time, but it was a very enjoyable, and the acting is great. So I really recommend kind of catching that one. And the reason I ended up watching it is I found someone online that was just raving about Jessica Chastain. And so I was just like, yeah, you know what? I really like, those are fun characters from my childhood. I wouldn't mind seeing that movie, you know? So I definitely recommend it. She just got nominated actually for a SAG award for it as well.
Nice.
She is an unbelievable actor. There's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's super talented.
Zero Dark 30.
Hey Jeff, how would you compare her to, say, Margot Robbie with I, Tonya?
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't see I, Tonya, but
you never saw it. Okay, never mind.
But I do like Margot Robbie a lot. She's a great actress.
They're both incredibly talented, both of them. Yeah,
they're both of them. And what's the from Mad Max Fury Road? Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. Yeah.
Charlize Theron.
Anytime you want to pop up the picture of me with Charlize.
With Charlize Theron. All three of them are so amazing the way they kind of mold into characters. And you know who else? I'll kind of end this, but I don't want to talk about Book of Boba Fett or anything, but Stephen Root is one of the most amazing actors, I think, in the world. That's his name, right? I got his name. I went Stephen Root. It is amazing to me how every time you see a character he's doing, it in no way reminds you of any other character usually that he's done, like how he can morph from that Milton to like a badass. Anyway, all right. Well, this was a great show, guys. This was really awesome. We covered a lot. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, not that's the wrong one. The Tender Bar, Matrix, Resurrection, Zack Stone. It's gonna be famous. The Harry Potter get together. Back to Hogwarts. Good show. Thanks, Jess and Tony, for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yes, remind everyone
Thanks, guys.
Before we go, here's me and Margot. I'll raise you, Howard. There you go. Look, we had the same lipstick on that night.
Wow.
I did not have the same lipstick.
He's furiously trying to pull it up.
Good night, Jess.
Say good night, Tony.
That's my line.
Hey, good night, Tony. Good night, gang. Check me out, the Berardo podcast on all platforms. Health, wellness, things that are important to humans. You're going to love it. Check it out. Good to be on again. Jess, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Tony.
Say good night. Lippy Pants.
Yeah, see you guys Wednesday nights, 9:30, Crossing the Streams and other select podcasts. Have a great night.
And feel better soon, Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, there it is.
Good night, Howie.
Good night. Hey, two good, really good series premieres this week that I'm looking forward to. Peacemaker tomorrow, and then Bridget Everett's show, Somebody Somewhere, debuts Sunday night on HBO. It looks exceptional. So
and thanks to Marvin Sonny for stopping by. Appreciate it. We'll check out that turn. Maybe you can come on a future show, Marvin. You can pitch it yourself. And then, hey, Carmen, thanks for hanging around. Appreciate it. Wow. Thanks to everyone else. I am Jeff Dwoskin, host of Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Also, check out Sal and Bob, who's not here, but check out their podcast as well.
They splintered off. They did a spinoff.
They did a spinoff. But we'll see you guys next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, same time. See you then. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us. Listen to our podcasts, Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show, the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.